Hello, my friends. How are you? I hope you're doing very, very well. My name is Mariah. If you haven't been to my page, my videos, my channel before, very, very warm welcome to you. If you have, super extra warm welcome back. Thank you for coming back because I know sometimes the stuff that I talk about is a little out there, a little crazy. But I'm talking to the like-minded people that want to know these things, that want to learn more truths, more alternative to the regular religion that we're taught today. And building that out, I am going to continue with the series of the Gnostic texts where I talk about my favorite Gnostic texts that are in the Nag Hammadi Codices. Something else I did want to mention before I really get going in here is if you're really resonating with what I'm talking about and you're looking for a community of like-minded people, I have started a literal community on Twitter, X, if you want to call it that these days. I will link it below. It is public. Anybody can join. And in there, I just like to talk about all things Gnosticism, especially related to the goddess and recentering the goddess, the Aeon Sophia, back into the middle of the Gnostic discourse, of discourse around life, of honoring earth, of honoring dreams, and all that really magical stuff. So if you've been following along in my series, this is the fourth book that I am diving into. I've made a playlist of my readings of, essentially they're really my favorite Gnostic texts. And I'm going to continue that today with the Sophia of Jesus Christ. Now, the reason why sometimes I say Sophia, obviously it's interchangeable, is to differentiate between the, common name Sophia and the Aeon Sophia. Now, I will interchange them. I'll say both because why not? And I know I sometimes get that question of like, why do you say it that other way? Well, it was started by Mr. John Lamb Lash, and a little plug here because I have my book back. I love it. If you are looking to get into more about Gaia Sophia, the Aeon Sophia, Gnosticism, check out his book. It's amazing. This is a new edition. He sent this to me and I cherish it. And yeah, Mr. John Lamb Lash is amazing. I highly, highly, highly recommend his work. And he makes that difference between the regular or common name Sophia and the Aeon Sophia. Now, oh, I just went to the bottom. If you haven't seen any of my other videos in this series, I am reading from the Nag Hammadi Codices. Now, what those are, essentially, are, in a nutshell, books that were left out of the Bible. Now, I started watching something today about this guy talking about the Nag Hammadi Codices or scriptures or books they're called. And he was saying that, I didn't really like what he was saying that too much, but he was saying that it was essentially found in Egypt, in Nag Hammadi, 1945. And he was basically saying that it was early Gnostic Christian writing, but was not calling them Christians. And I was like, okay, so like they were Gnostics, and Gnostics way back in the day and still today were teachers of the ancient mysteries. They ran the mystery schools. They were probably the most scientifically based mystic people around. And, the Greek word Gnosis, where we get Gnostic from, obviously just comes from knowledge. So these were people back in the day that had a lot of knowledge. The church didn't like that. The Christians didn't like that. And that's why I have a problem with people saying that early Christians were Gnostics, because that's just not true. Christianity is a totally different thing. And, I think it's just Christians trying to hijack the Gnostic movement, but they don't follow along with the same things. And, but it's interesting that we have some books that really say something different that's in the Bible, and they're written by the same authors. We've got Thomas in here. John the Apostle was who I just read from with the Apocrypha of John. It's the New Testament writers. Some of them are in here, and basically it's just these books could have been copies, but they are so, to me anyways, and before people tell me to go read the Bible, I've read the Bible. I went to Christian school. I went to church, blah, blah, blah. Like I've read it, and it's radically different, but you'll find Sophia, or wisdom as she's called, is mentioned in the Bible because she is a truth that you can't run away from no matter how many times you try. So, the book that I'm going to read from today is the Sophia of Jesus Christ. Now, I'll post the link below, of course, and like I said, these are all online. I'm reading from Gnosis.org. Okay. Okay, so first we have a header, and the header just says, the Sophia Wisdom of Jesus Christ. Now, I find that Christians argue a lot, and they say that just because Sophia is wisdom doesn't mean that she was an actual being that is present in our lives. And to that, I just say, you know what? Just wait. Engage with her, engage with nature, and you'll find that Sophia shows up in dreams. She shows up in synchronicities. She shows up. She shows up. Okay. So this is the first paragraph. After he rose from the dead, Jesus Christ, I'm assuming, his 12 disciples and 7 women continued to be his followers and went to Galilee on to the mountain called Divination and Joy. When they gathered together and were perplexed about the underlying reality of the universe and the plan and the holy providence and the power of the authorities or the archons and about everything the Savior is doing with them in the secret of the holy, I have like a little cat hair. The Savior appeared, not in his previous form, but in the invisible spirit. And his likeness resembles a great angel of light, but his resemblance I must not describe. No mortal flesh could endure it, but only pure, perfect flesh, like that which he has taught us about on the mountain called of the Olives in Galilee. See, very biblical. Like, you know, if you've read the Bible, this is probably pretty familiar. He said, "Peace be to you, my peace I give you." And they all marveled and were afraid. The Savior laughed and said to them, "What are you thinking about? Are you perplexed? What are you searching for?" And Philip said, "For the underlying reality of the universe and the plan." Let's just get straight to the point. What is the plan? The Savior said to them, "I want you to know that all men are born on earth from the foundation of the world until now, being dust, while they have inquired about God, who he is and what he is like, I have not found him. Now the wisest among them have speculated from the ordering of the world and its movement, but their speculation has not reached the truth. For it is said that the ordering is directed in 3 ways. By all philosophers, also the word philosopher comes from philo, love, Sophia, wisdom. Hence they do not agree. For some of them say it is about the world that is directed by itself, others that it is providence that directs it, others that it is fate, but it is none of these. Again, of the 3 voices I have just mentioned, none of them is close to truth, and they are from man. But I, who came from infinite light, I am here, for I know him, light they're referring to, that I might speak to you about the precise nature of truth. For whatever is from itself is a polluted life, it is self-made. Providence has no wisdom in it. Or Sophia in it would have been. Because you have to remember, these are originally not written in English. Likely Greek, could have been Coptic. So that word would have been, where I just lost my spot. Providence has no wisdom in it. Providence has no Sophia in it. I don't really know what the word for providence would be in Greek, but it's interesting to think about those translations. And fate does not discern. But to you it is given to know, and whoever is worthy of knowledge will receive it. Whoever has not been begotten by the sowing of unclean rubbing, but by first who was sent, for he is an immortal in the midst of mortal men. Matthew said to him, Lord, see, we got Matthew here. Lord, no one can find the truth except through you, therefore teach us the truth. The Savior said, he who is ineffable. No principle knew him, no authority, no subjection, nor any creature from the foundation of the world until now, except he alone and anyone to whom he wants to make revelation through him, who is from first light. From now on, I am the great Savior, for he is immortal and eternal. Now he is eternal, having no birth, for everyone who has birth will perish. He is unbegotten, having no beginning. I think I got it. For everyone who has a beginning has an end. Since no one rules over him, he has no name, for whoever has a name is the creation of another. And he has a semblance of his own, not like what you have seen and received, but a strange semblance that surpasses all things and is better than the universe. It looks to every side and sees itself from itself. Since it is infinite, he is ever incomprehensible. He is imperishable and has no likeness. He is unchanging good. He is faultless. He is eternal. He is blessed. Well, he is not known. He ever knows himself. He is immeasurable. He is untraceable. He is perfect, having no defect. He is in imperishability blessed. He is called the Father of the universe. Philip said, Lord, how then did he appear to the perfect ones? The perfect Savior said to him, before anything is visible of those that are visible, the majesty and the authority are in him, since he embraces the whole of the totalities while nothing embraces him, for he is all mind. And he is thought and considering and reflecting and rationality and power. They are all equal powers. See, here I believe, we can get into debate if you want to, but I believe that he's talking about the aeons at this time, which is, Sophia is an aeon. She is one of these imperishable ones of light. They are the sources of the totalities, and their whole race from first to last was in foreknowledge, that of the infinite unbegotten Father. And something else that's interesting that John Lamb Lash gets into is that in the pleroma, the galactic core, there are these aeons, these aeonic beings, and they exist in male-female pairs, and they receive essentially bursts of energy from what JLL calls the originator. And I would call that like I don't think it's gendered, to be honest, but there is this generator, he calls it, that sends out energy to these aeons that are these creative beings existing in male-female pairs that then direct that energy and shape it and morph it and turn it into creation and send it through the pleroma into the galaxy to gestate and gain life. So if you're interested in that story, I do have videos describing it. I will also include JLL's links because that's stuff I know from him and he's really good point of reference to start with. Ah, la 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 la. Thomas said to him, Lord Savior, why did these come to be, and why were these revealed? Perfect Savior said, I came from the infinite that I might tell you all things. Spirit who is was the begetter who had the power of a begetter and a form giver's nature, that the great wealth that was hidden in him might be revealed. Because of his mercy and his love, he wished to bring forth fruit by himself, that he might not enjoy his goodness alone, but that other spirits of the unwavering generation might bring forth body and fruit, glory and honor in imperishableness and his infinite grace, that his treasure might be revealed by the self-begotten God, the Father of every imperishableness, and those that came to be afterward. But they had not yet come to visibility. Now a great difference exists among the imperishables. Whoever has ears to hear about the infinities, let him hear. I have addressed all those who are awake. La la la. Okay, he's repeating himself. Okay, here we go. Here's the good stuff. Whoever has ears to hear, let him hear. The Lord of the universe is not called Father, but Forefather, the beginning of those that will appear, but he is the beginningless Forefather. Seeing himself within himself in a mirror, he appeared resembling himself, but his likeness appeared as the divine self-father and confronter over the confronted ones. First existent, unbegotten Father. He is indeed of equal age with the light that is before him. He is not equal to him in power. He is the unknowable, who is full of ever imperishable glory and ineffable joy. They are all at rest in him, ever rejoicing in ineffable joy, in his unchanging glory, and measureless jubilation. This was never heard or known among all the aeons in their world until now. Okay, Matthew's asking the real questions here. Lord, Savior, how was man revealed? The perfect Savior said, I want you to know that he who appeared before the universe in infinity, self-grown, self-constructed Father, being full of shining light and ineffable in the beginning, when he decided to have his likeness become a great power, immediately the principle or beginning of that light appeared as immortal androgynous man. And through that immortal androgynous man, they might attain their salvation and awake from forgetfulness through the interpreter who was sent, who is with you until the end of the poverty of the robbers, aka the archons. And his consort is the great Sophia, the Aeon Sophia. So right now they're talking about the male-female Aeonic pair that created humanity. Who from the first was destined in him for union by the self-begotten Father from immortal man, who appeared as first in divinity and kingdom for the Father, who was called man self-father, revealed this, and he created a great Aeon whose name is Ogdoad, Ogdode, for his own majesty. He was given great authority and he ruled over the creation of poverty. He created gods and angels and archangels, myriads without number for his retinue, from that light and his tri-male spirit, which is that of Sophia, Sophia his consort. I'm skipping some because it's a lot of, again, if you've read the Bible, it's a lot of redundant phrases that I don't know if it's translation or whatever, but it's a lot of blah blah without saying very much. Again, you're watching it here. I do encourage you to read it on your own for sure. Okay. Son of Man consented with Sophia and revealed a great androgynous light. His male name is Savior, begetter of all things. His female name is All Begetress Sophia. Some call her Pistis. You might have heard that before. The bond of his forgetfulness bound him by the will of Sophia, that the matter might be revealed through it to the whole world in poverty, concerning his arrogance and blindness and ignorance that he was named. So this is, it gets really convoluted and confusing, but when they're talking about Son of Man and his consort Sophia, they're not, at that point, they're not talking about the Aeonic pair. They're talking about Sophia accidentally creating the demiurge. He is the king of poverty. He is the reason we have death. He's the reason why we have any interference in human life at all. So this is Jesus talking. I have cut off the work of the robbers. I have awakened that drop that was sent from Sophia, that it might bear much fruit through me and be perfected and not again be defective. Because if you've watched my On the Origin of the World, I think is a better description of the Gnostic creation story. Essentially, Sophia falls into the galaxy, essentially, without her male counterpart. And because of that, as she falls through, she creates like they call it an aborted fetus, which is a visual. And the aborted fetus is the demiurge. And because he has a semblance of her power, in my opinion, they're talking about awakening that semblance and not exactly the Aeon Thelete is what he's called, the male counterpart. That it might bear much fruit, fruit, the great Savior, that his glory might be revealed, so that Sophia might also be justified in regard to that defect, which was her doing the work without her male counterpart. That her sons might not again become defective, but might attain honor and glory and go up to their father, the Aeon Thelete, and know the words of the masculine light. And you were sent by the Son, who was sent that you might receive light and remove yourselves from the forgetfulness of the authorities, the archons, that it might not again come to appearance because of you, namely the unclean rubbing that is from the fearful fire that came from their fleshy part. Tread upon their malicious intent. So again, like I said, it gets very convoluted, but right now we're talking about the demiurge and the archons. And, you know, even the Old Testament God is sometimes called the husband or the consort of Sophia, but it's not true. That's her son. That's her shitty son who keeps fucking stuff up. Okay. Something about the aeons. Now when I have discussed earlier were revealed, self-begetter Father very soon created 12 aeons for the retinue of the 12 angels. All these are perfect and good. Thus the defect in the female appeared. That which embraces these is the aeon over which there is no kingdom of the immortals, whom I described earlier, the aeon above the seventh that appear from Sophia, which is the first aeon, so the eighth. Now the multitudes gather and come to a unity. We call them Assembly of the Eighth. It appeared as androgynous and was named partly as male and partly female. The male is called assembly, while the female is called life, and that it might be shown from a female came the life for all the aeons. And the immortals whom I have just described all have authority from a mortal man who is called Silence, because by reflecting without speech, all her own majesty was perfected. For since the imperishabilities had the authority, archons, each created a great kingdom in the eighth, and also thrones and temples and firmaments of their own majesties, for all these came by the will of the mother of the universe that is embedded in the demiurge, basically. Okay, this freaking guy keeps asking about the aeons. La la la. The aeons were completed quickly in the heavens and the firmaments in the glory of immortal man and Sophia his consort. The area from which every aeon and the world and those that came afterward took their pattern for their creation of likeness in the heavens of chaos and their world. Mary is here, finally asking the good questions. Holy Lord, where did your disciples come from, and where are they going, and what should they do here? Finally. The perfect Savior said to them, I want you to know that Sophia, the mother of the universe, and her consort, desired by herself, without her male consort, to bring these to existence without... Oh, wait, there, it literally says it. Okay. I want you to know that Sophia, the mother of the universe, and the consort, desired by herself to bring these to existence without her male consort. But by the will of the Father of the universe, that his unimaginable goodness might be revealed, he created that curtain between the immortals and those that came afterward, that the consequence might follow. Every aeon in chaos, that the defect of the female might appear, aka the demiurge, and it might come about that the error would contend with her, aka the Old Testament God. Oopsies. And these became the curtain of spirit. From the aeons above the emanations of light, as I have said already, a drop of light and spirit came down to the lower regions of the Almighty in chaos, that their molded forms might appear from that drop, for it is judgment on him, arch-begetter, who is called Yadabaoth, the demiurge. That drop revealed their molded forms through the breath as a living soul. It was withered, and it slumbered in the ignorance of the soul. When it became hot from the breath of the great light of the male, and it took thought, names were received by all of those who are in the worlds of chaos and all things that are in it through the immortal one, when the breath blew into him. But when this came about by the will of Mother Sophia, that immortal man might piece together the garments there for the judgment of the robbers, the archons, he then welcomed the blowing of that breath, but since he was soul-like, he was not able to take that power for himself until the number of chaos should be complete, when the time determined by the great angel is complete. Now I have taught you about immortal man and have loosened the bonds of the robbers from him, aka the archons and their fake stories. Fake news. I have broken the gates of the pitiless ones in their presence. I have humiliated their malicious intent, and they have all been shamed and have risen from their ignorance. Because of this, then, I came here that they might be joined with that spirit and breath, and that from two become one, just as from the first, so that you might yield much fruit and go up to him who is from the beginning, in ineffable joy and glory and honor and grace of the Father of the universe, into the pleroma, through the galactic core, where the aeons are from. Whoever then knows the Father in pure knowledge will depart to the Father and repose in unbegotten Father. But whoever knows him defectively will depart to the defect and the rest of the eighth. Now, whoever knows the immortal spirit of light in silence, through reflecting and consent in the truth, let him bring me signs of the invisible one, and he will become a light in the spirit of silence. Whoever knows Son of Man in knowledge and love, let him bring me a sign of Son of Man, that he might depart to the dwelling places with those in the eighth. Behold, I have revealed to you the name of the perfect one, the whole will of the mother of holy angels, that the masculine multitude may be completed here, because of Sophia being here without her male counterpart. Basically, men have to rectify that. That there might appear in the aeons the infinities and those that came to be in the untraceable wealth of the great invisible spirit, that they might all take from his goodness. Even the wealth of their rest has no kingdom over it. I came from first who was sent, that I might reveal to you he who is from the beginning, because of the arrogance of the arch-begetter and his angels, the demiurge and his archons, since they say about themselves that they are gods. And I came to remove them from their blindness, that I might tell everyone about the God who is above the universe, in the pleroma. Therefore, tread upon their graves, humiliate their malicious intent, and break the yoke and arouse my own. I have given you authority over all things as sons of light, that you might tread upon their power with your feet. These are the things the blessed Savior said, and he disappeared from them. Poof, gone. Then all disciples were in great ineffable joy, and the Spirit from that day on, his disciples began to preach the gospel of God, the eternal, imperishable Spirit. So, very interesting, that text. It's, great title, but it's a little convoluted in the way that, and like I said, this is probably the translation. I can put money on it that it is the translation, that they use the same words and names to describe the Aeon Thelete, who is Sophia's true consort, and the demiurge, Yadalbaoth, and the father of the universe. Now, they're all different, very different characters, and very different for us to know and for us to really internalize as part of our story of humans. Now, my interpretation of this might be different from yours, that's totally fine, but in the context of the other texts and some other Gnostic sources, it's essentially saying the same thing. And if you don't have that kind of framework approaching this, it can be super confusing. And I totally understand that, because like I said, they refer to the deficiency of the male, the error of the female, and the mother of the universe, the father of the universe, and then they say that, oh, it's the begetter of all things, but actually that's the demiurge, that's Yadalbaoth. So like I said, it is a little confusing, but if you are confused by that at all, I would check out my other videos where I go into like the actual Gnostic creation story as pieced together from the Nag Hammadi Codices, work from Against Heresies by Irenaeus, obviously Mr. John Lamb Lash's work, and essentially, like I mentioned before, the Aeons exist in male-female pairs, and the Aeon Sophia and the Aeon Thelete received, call it like a packet of energy, I guess, from the father of the universe, the generator is what JLL calls it, and I think that's probably the best way to describe it, is that a being that does not really have a gender but is generating energy all the time. They took energy from that because it gets given to them as aeons, and from that they made the human species, and that is the immortal human of light, the immortal man of light. And excuse me, when they say the immortal man of light, I would imagine that the Greek word is anthropos, I think, and that means human. It's not necessarily man. And, even in these texts, it talks about how everything comes from a woman, because does it not? Right now, all life comes from women. It comes between a woman's leg or out of her womb in some way, and then, yeah, so in the Gnostic story that I share and tell is that when the Aeon Sophia and Thelete had created humans, but Sophia wanted, the humans had gone a couple trial runs and were not doing very well. And she started to imagine or daydream a solution for humanity to thrive and to really gain life and be successful. But she did this imagination without her male counterpart. And just by nature of being what and who she is, that compelled her dreaming body, her dreaming mind, into the galactic well, she's in the galactic core, into the galaxy, let's say, into the Milky Way galaxy. This is the fall of the goddess, and that is reflected in so many myths. And as she's falling, because she did it without her male counterpart, the deficiency of the male, this is what this text says that males have to rectify. They have to find the true masculinity. It is not the imposter that she accidentally creates, who is essentially the anti-male. He's everything that men should not aim for. And this is the demiurge, Dalbaoth, and all his archons, because he technically comes from Sophia, but he was not intended. He was not created by her. He's a small little piece of her that she was not anticipating at all, because she fell without her male counterpart. And he's like the inversion of the male. And, you know, people worship this guy as Yahweh, as Jehovah. And so there are men and women for sure following the anti-male. This is the opposite of what a man should be. He's tricking a lot of people. And, you know, and like I said, it's not super clear in this text, but as you kind of keep reading, you're like, oh, okay, wait. If you read it all with that sort of framework, you can kind of pull apart the pieces where, yeah, like we do have Sophia, we have her male counterpart, we have her creating this anomaly, this accident, and him interfering with humans all the time. And then, you know, and Jesus is describing to his disciples that we are of that light. We are not from the demiurge, Dalbaoth. We are intended. We were created by the Aeon Sophia and the Aeon Thelete. Demiurge has nothing to do with our creation. He will want us to think that for sure, but it's just not the case. So with that, I'm going to end it. And I think, oh no, I have one on Against Heresies by Irenaeus. I have a video, I'll link it below, where it does say that the Gnostics believed and still believe, and I still believe, that the Aeon Sophia during her fall turned into the planet Earth, which is why women are here first and men come from Orion, and all these wonderful, beautiful tidbits of information, this intelligence that is really helpful to know as humans, and what secret societies don't want you to know. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below or the replies. If you have a specific text you would like me to do, let me know as well. Otherwise, I'll just keep trucking along. But for now, ciao. Bye.